Shall we extend a round of applause to the director, Kavich Neang?
Thank you.
Hello, Kavich. Thank you for joining us for this post-screening talk after this very wonderful and moving film. So maybe before we start, would you like to say a few words to the audience first?
Yes, first I would like to say thank you to the festival who inviting me to be a part of this event this year. I'm very honored. And I would like to thank you to the audience for making this time to watch my film. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, Kavich is an old friend of the festivals because Kavich's previous film, Last Night I Saw You Smiling, was at the festival 2 years ago. But unfortunately, Kavich, we couldn't get him to join us at the festival 2 years ago. But here he is. I mean, finally, with us, with the Hong Kong audience via Zoom today. But actually, since the film ends with shots of the white building, maybe we should start the discussion with the white building. So what was the situation like now with the land occupied by the white building previously?
Yes, I visited there like a couple of days ago. So I think it was a bit strange for me, where the place you used to stay there for many years, and then you go back, the place is not as what you used to see. And I see the construction is still there, and the land is still empty. And I don't know what's the plan, but I think last year I read the news that they're going to build the casino, because there's two big building. There's a two big building that are running casino over there, and now they're going to build the third one on the land of white building.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kavich, actually, I know that you, as you said, you grew up in the white building, so you spent quite a bit of your life there, so you've got memories of that. But can you explain a little bit to the audience here, because they might not be that familiar with the importance of this particular building. So can you tell us a little bit about the significance of this complex?
Yep. So my father and my family, they live in the province, after the Khmer Rouge. My father is a sculptor, and he heard the radio that's during that time, the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts calling for the artist who survived from the Khmer Rouge to live in that building. So for me, as I grow up as a young boy, see a lot of different kind of art, like musicians, circus performers, classical and traditional dancer. For me, it was very unique, and I think I could not find this kind of atmosphere in the Phnom Penh. After the building is gone, I realized that the white building was quite unique. And I think after the Khmer Rouge, I think for me the white building was it was built by Cambodian architects, with the Russian, and as you can know that now, I mean, Cambodia, it's a developing country, so every day I could feel that the buildings start to be, the old buildings start to be demolished and the new building start to appear. And I think a white building was quite very unique, that designed by Cambodian during that time. And I feel that the white building itself has a very, long history, before the Khmer Rouge and after the Khmer Rouge, and now it's gone. So for me, you may not seen this kind of building that was designed by Cambodian people during this period as much as before. So for me, it's quite unique, and the atmosphere and the space. So it's unique, space for me as a Cambodian people.
Actually, your previous documentary, Last Night I Saw You Smiling, it documents the last days of the building when the residents were actually considering moving out. So in this film, they are actually moving out. So what inspired you in making this story about these young boys struggling with their future?
So actually, I started this project, the fiction, in 2016, hoping to shoot the fiction film there. but the plan was kind of a bit, how to say, a bit, I was disappointed because that plan could not exist because during that time the bidding was announced that they're going to demolish before my fiction film, and during time I haven't finished the script and I could not find enough funding to shoot the film yet. So yeah, so for me it's a bit disappointed and also devastated. You know, like first it's my home and secondly it's my project there. So for me, when I shoot the documentary, I don't have any plan, you know, to make it as a documentary. For me, it's just to shoot it. Maybe I use it for the fiction. And during time, I was, how I say, running with the timing. You know, if I think too much, if I delay too much, I won't have any footage. You know, and I think in the fiction film, you might see. I don't know if you have seen my documentary, you might have noticed some shot in the fiction film. You know, and yes, and it's come out very interesting with the documentary project, you know, and then I decided to make a fiction as the plan. But I think the fiction film, of course, is influenced by the reality, you know. And during time when I wrote the script, it's more about what I want to do, but now it's more about the reality that could shape me and could give me, you know, the chance to not focus on the white building, but also other building in Phnom Penh. And I think for the documentary, I feel that maybe as someone who living there, it's was quite a bit passive, you know, because I'm not be able to do anything besides shooting. And I hope that maybe making a fiction film, it could be to raise awareness that you know, as the people living there, maybe we could do something, you know. But I feel I don't know if you feel that the main actor was a bit active as what I planned, but that was my original. That when you don't have how to say you know a thing to, because in the documentary it was more like a how to say more simultaneously. You know, I don't plan anything. It more in intuition, but for fiction I have a little more control. But my first idea to make a fiction, you know, after I make a documentary, I was like, okay, this doesn't appeal in the fiction, the documentary, so maybe I should try to be a bit more for the character, you know. Yeah.
Okay. So, Kavich, maybe we'll see whether there are any questions from the audience. So maybe we'll just open it up to the floor. If you do have any questions, please raise your hand, and then my colleague will pass you the microphone. So, any questions for Kavich? Okay, that gentleman over there.
Thanks very much for making the film. So the White Building is an internationally famous building, and now it's gone. In Phnom Penh, there's been so much urban redevelopment over the past 10, 20 years. There must have been buildings, big urban concentrations of people that have been made to leave their homes because of redevelopment. So what you were saying, White Building is special because it was home to an artist community because of the architecture. But my question is that what similarities there were between the experiences of the people who had to leave the White Building and those who had to leave other buildings that were demolished in Phnom Penh. And also what I guess what I'm trying to ask is what's so special about the White Building, the demolition of the White Building and the experiences of the people there. I don't know if my question was clear enough, but basically, because the experiences that you are trying to capture, they must have been shared by other people who were displaced because of urban redevelopment elsewhere in Phnom Penh, right? So what are the similarities and what are the differences between the case of displacement in the White Building and other similar cases in Phnom Penh?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if
yeah, I'll try to make it really simple. So there must have been many other demolitions of housing in Phnom Penh. So what, in the case of what the white building and in those other cases, what are the similarities and differences?
Okay, so I will try to see if I
Thank
could
you.
answer your questions. I I think I mean I could not share from other experience because maybe they have different places where they live, but I could share my experience that I live in the white building and what I can see that's special for me, as someone know that the building was has a very long history, and has a unique community that I was mentioned that a lot of artists moved there, and yeah, and I could feel that nowadays there's not many building that has a lot of artists living there, and I when I go there I just feel like people more like living individually, and especially the new building now it's more like built just feel like a family just live in their own family and their own parents or children, thing like that. But in the white building it's a special building because I think the way that architect design was have a very long corridor, as I remember when I was young. I know all my neighbors, not everyone, but of course, most of my neighbors, like on the first, second, and third floor. And sometimes I stay at their place. And when my family has an event, we invite them and so something like this kind of close, like the family and the connection from one to another. So this kind of feeling that I miss, when I realized that the building is gone. And when I doing some location scouting, for me it's hard to get away the original idea and the memory that I have with the building. And I feel that nowadays maybe the family is more individual. I think it's not only about the people, but I think the architecture as well that they could not provide how people interact with each other. And nowadays people it's more into themselves, and the similar everything that I feel that because I think white building is not only the one problem that have been the building, but other places, like the community that around the building was being, how to say, compensated, by the government and company and push them away as well. So I feel that maybe the similar case is that I feel that people, I feel that we don't have much option, because I think maybe most people feel that when things happen like that, we don't feel hope that there would be someone who have how to say talk to you fairly, about the price if you don't want, how you want to live. But I feel that if the the company and the government, if they want your land, maybe there's a small chance that you can stand up and but I feel that's why I think that maybe in the white building case is different because I think the government or maybe the private company have more a bit, I don't know, but from my perspective I could feel that they have a bit more respect to the people living there, and maybe from the history and from the family that live there as an artist, so that's what I could share. Yeah.
So, Kavich, is it common for some of your former neighbors, residents in the white building, to actually move, for example, out of Phnom Penh, just like Sam Nang's family, to live in the countryside, to seek another way of life? Do you have a lot of friends who actually had to do that?
Yes, I think the family who has their member live in the countryside, they would feel more comfortable to live in the countryside. Some who could afford to buy a house not in the city but a bit suburb, they still buy that. For example, like my family, because I think the compensation that we got not too much, so we could afford to buy a house but a bit outside, but I think it's fine. But a lot of family, I would say the community becomes split, because depend on where you want, and also depend how much money you receive, depend on the size of your house and all of that. So I would say in my case, there's some family from the white building will live in the same area, but not close like the white building. But somehow we could feel that we are coming from the white building. And I think most part of the people, I mean, they live everywhere, you know, some in the province, some the north, and some the south, you know. So depend on what they, as I said, depend on the money, but depend on the member of their family live, you know.
But also it's a story about a younger generation of Cambodians, just like Sam Nang with Do, with Aha. I mean, they have different fortunes, different futures, going to France, going to the countryside, so on and so forth. So how did you actually construct these characters, these young Cambodians, partly from your own experience or maybe from what you see on the ground?
Yes, I would say partly from my own experience. You know, I live there and I have also a good friend. And I used to be a traditional dancer, musician, you know. And what I could feel nowadays, I feel that uh, just from my perspective, I could feel that we, I could feel that maybe my people, it's somehow a bit passive, you know, with the reaction, you know, to their, how to say, you know, activity in the society or whatever. So I could, yeah, and also could feel that the young generation now here, it's a bit, how to say, I mean, careless to what the society is, you know, they maybe more into materials, you know, care about. So when I thinking about this, I also from my own experience, you know, I feel that when I'm making a documentary, I feel that, you know, I could not do anything, you know, beside more observation and, you know, asking people about their memory, but I couldn't do anything. And I wish I could be more a bit active, you know, to be part of the community. And I feel that, yeah, maybe in the fiction film is maybe I trying to raise awareness of how, as a human, as a Cambodian people, as you live in the society, how could you contribute, you know, yourself, you know, and also to the society, not just, you know, living there and do not, I don't know, but as example, you know, in the building, like everyone try, but at the same time, they really not everyone take part of it, you know. So I feel that maybe something I'm missing in the society, and I feel the gap between the young and old generation that, for example, like a Sanang family, you know, that the way that parents, his parents, more traditional religions, and also find a way, the two of them always find a way not to communicate each other, which I feel that in the society. So maybe there's something I could do, you know, as a filmmaker to make this and raise awareness of this and just share in, I hope, you know, in Cambodia, you know.
Okay, maybe we'll see whether there are any other questions from the audience. Any other questions for Kavich? Oh, okay. Okay. Please, thank you.
Hi, thanks for a film. I actually saw a last film as well. Last night when I saw you smiling, I really liked it. And I feel like a lot of Cambodian films that I've been seeing, at least by the independent directors, have been a lot about redevelopment. I'm just talking about Steve Chen's film and also Davi Shu's film. And I'm just wondering, after the demolition and then you rebuild the buildings, so who are the people who are actually living in there? I mean, since the people who were originally in the old buildings moved to the countryside or moving somewhere else, this is in a way my first question. And my second question is, there is a lot of foreign capital flowing into Cambodia. And I'm just wondering whether there have been a lot of people moving into Cambodia, I mean, especially to Phnom Penh, and whether those people who are actually occupying the new developed residential places are foreigners. So who are they? Who is the redevelopment catered to? Yeah, these are my two questions. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I could not understand the two questions.
Oh, okay, no, it's fine.
What's the first question? Yeah.
The first question is after the development, the new buildings, maybe they're commercial buildings, maybe they're residential buildings. And I'm just wondering who are actually going to occupy the buildings. Maybe it's actually two very similar questions. So my second question is, because there has been a lot of foreign capital, right, flowing into Cambodia, I believe, Chinese, Japanese, or maybe some other places. So I'm just wondering, since the locals, Cambodian locals, are forced to move somewhere else, so are these places occupied by foreigners instead of locals? So these are my two or one question. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like similar. So I think the white buildings, the empty. I don't know what's the bidding gonna be, but as I share that I read the news that will be the casino, and I think yeah, I'm not sure as well. You know, like who gonna live there, because you know it seems like the price now in the city of Phnom Penh is to live in the city is a bit expensive, you know, and how much we make money every month, it's not like how to say, I don't see, you know, I don't see myself or my family could live there, or rather, or average of Cambodian people. So this is a question, you know, I've been asking as well. Like I see a lot of condominium, you know, or like development thing like that. Like, but I'm the same thing. The question, like, who gonna live there? I don't know. But I don't see average of Cambodian people gonna live there because of the money we made, and you know, GDP we made every month. I don't feel, you know, except maybe you your family could support you, or your family are rich enough, you know, but I don't see that Cambodian would live there, and I don't know who's gonna live there too. And for the foreigner that you mentioned, Japanese and Korean or Japanese, yep. I mean, I mean, I don't have like a research about that, but I could feel that a lot of architecture project, you know, that's now how to say, I'm seeing every day. It's now occupied by the Chinese one, you know, and I'm still don't know who the building when they finish it, who gonna live there. You know? I'm still doubting. I still don't know, and that's why I think maybe yeah, maybe, you know, I think this indirect questions that maybe I'm part of making the film, you know, like when I mean, when they announce that we're developing the country, but what does it mean if the Cambodian who supposed to live in the city could not afford? So what does it mean to be development, to say that the development, you know? And if the compensation of, if the people are not happy, so what does it mean for the meaning of development? So I think yeah, I think that's why I feel that maybe what I could do, just you know, sharing a story, you know, sharing my experience, you know, and hope that one day maybe other Cambodian could see, and that's kind of problem as well, you know.
Okay, Kavich, I'm sure the audience still have a lot of questions to ask, but sadly we are running out of time. So maybe we'll just leave it to another time. Of course, I'm sure your next film will be with us, right? I mean, at the festival.
Thank
so
you.
there will be a next time, I'm sure. So thank you very much, Kavich, for joining us.
Everyone.
Shall we
everyone.
extend a round of applause to Kavich Neang, the director of White Building?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavich. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.